What's the best thing about podcasts? It's that you can still listen to them during cream egg hunting season. Hunt down the rare white cream egg and be in with a chance to win a sweet prize of up to €10,000. Join us, fellow cream egg hunters, and find out more by visiting Cadbury Ireland on Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome into Sportsmemo's college basketball podcast with Brent Crow. Brent, welcome into the podcast. How are you?
Hey, Drew, doing great. You're always doing better when you're winning, and we've been doing a lot of winning lately, so I'm excited.
Yeah, man. You're 9-2 the last 9 days. Also, your top 5% plays 12-3 in the NFL. Your 5% top plays 4-0. You got one up for this weekend in the NFL. So, anything you can share with the listeners on what you're doing right here in the betting world? It's
just the playoffs and the bowls have been really good, and now college basketball is shaping up. I've hit 7 of 9 plays this calendar year in college basketball, so it's heating up. But my top plays, the 5% plays. If not for Ohio State blowing a 28-3 lead over Washington, I'd be 10-0 in my last 10 in football. So, and we had a lot of underdogs win straight up, and had Clemson in the big title game with an easy win over Alabama. The Eagles last Sunday or Saturday against the Bears, and got another nice underdog winner for this weekend in the NFL. And then, of course, tomorrow we're looking forward to some more college basketball winners. Yeah, we got, over 200 teams playing tomorrow, 200 boarded teams on the college basketball board. We're going to break down some games for the Saturday slate, and lines aren't up yet, so we're going to kind of be guessing the lines and what the line should be, going off of Ken Palm, and see if we can catch some value here for the listeners, Brent. Wanted to start off here, game number 657-658, Duke at Florida State, ACC matchup here. Ken Palm has it ending Duke 81, Florida State 74. That would put a pretty high total here of 155 in this ACC matchup. How would you look to bet Duke Florida State Saturday? We're going to assume that Duke is about a 7-point favorite. I don't think that, obviously they're as public of a team as there is, so it may even be a little bit more than that. But this Florida State team's not bad themselves. Ken Palm has them 22nd. Their only losses came on neutral court to Villanova and a road loss to Virginia. They followed that up in their last outing Wednesday with a win over Miami of Florida. And, Florida State has had a little bit of success against Duke in the last few years. Last year, on the road, Duke beat them 100-93 in a very close game that, obviously up and down the court, a lot of points scored in that one. I think that was their only meeting last year. The year before that, they actually beat Duke at home 88-72, lost on the road 75-70, so I'm pretty sure they covered the number in both of those games against the Blue Devils. The last couple of years, I think Florida State's 3-0 against the number against Duke, but they've all three been, they've been in every game, no doubt about it, including both games in Cameron, and on their home court had the easy win over Duke. It's not going to be easy here, but you've seen this year already, just in the last week, teams that are undefeated, top 5, top 10, top 25, going on the road. It's been tough to get those wins. We saw Houston lose. Nevada got blown out by New Mexico, and Kansas loses to Iowa State. I mean, the road's a tough place to play. Duke's got a lot of freshmen. They're obviously very, very talented, but still a lot of freshmen. And for the Blue Devils, they played on the road against Wake Forest. That's not the same as playing against Florida State. Florida State will play a little defense. So I expect this to be a close game. And, if it gets up there, catching 7's probably enough with Florida State. If they're catching more than that, I think you definitely have to look at the Seminoles. And one thing I've noticed with Florida State games, when they play weaker competition, they like to run up and down the court and use their athleticism, and they score a lot of points when they play teams like Canisius and Troy and Winthrop. But when they've played a good athletic team that plays a little defense, they've struggled to score. Villanova, Purdue, Virginia, Miami of Florida, all those games way under the total. Duke's not known for their defense, but they certainly play some. And if this one's at 155, Duke's, they're scoring 85 whatever points a game, but they also, they scored 69 against Texas Tech. which is obviously the best defense that they played. And then against Auburn, they put up 78 out in Hawaii. So I would lean under in this one as well. I like Florida State and under.
And Brent, you brought up the point. Duke has a lot of freshmen, and being on the road, is that actually something you're actively handicapping as far as looking to fade talented teams that just have a lot of freshmen on the road?
Yeah, especially early in conference play. I mean, it's totally different. I mean, like I said, look at the results. Look at Nevada, undefeated. They're going to go undefeated in the Mountain West, and then they go to a New Mexico team that is struggling. I mean, middle of the pack, and they get hammered, lose by, I think the final margin was almost 30 in that game. They were never in the game. And then, Houston against Temple the other night. I mean, it was a close game. Temple led throughout, got the win. I mean, the road's a tough place to play. And I'm not saying that Duke can't win here, but this is, they weren't tested against Wake Forest like they're going to be against Florida State. So it definitely, when you're a team like Duke and you've won all these games and all, I don't know that when you haven't experienced it before and you're on the road and the crowd's loud and stuff starts going the wrong way, I mean, it's tough to overcome. So, yeah, I think it's definitely a factor.
We got another game here, Brent, on the West Coast. Arizona State at Stanford, rotation number 717, 718. Ken Pom has it, Arizona State going on the road and winning 75-72. That would put a total of 147. How would you look to bet this Pac-12 matchup?
Well, Stanford, they've had a struggle for the year so far in conference play, 0-3, 7-8 overall, and just not able to compete really against the better teams. I mean, they played Kansas tough on the road, losing in overtime. That was their best performance. But they've played a good schedule: North Carolina, Wisconsin, Florida in non-conference, in addition to Kansas and San Francisco. And of course, they lost all those games. And then, like I said, an 0-3 start to conference play against UCLA, USC, and Arizona. So it's been a struggle for the Cardinal. They desperately need a victory. Arizona State comes off a road win against Cal after splitting at home with Utah and Colorado. And, Arizona State they got off to a really good start. And then, of course, they beat Kansas. And then, inexplicably, they lose at home to Princeton and Utah before bouncing back with the wins over Colorado and California. But in this one, if the total's 147, I like it over. Both teams will get up and down the court. Arizona State, of course, they like to run. But Stanford also will get up and down the court. I mean, they're not afraid to push it. I mean, they're not very efficient offensively, but they're also not very good defensively. So, you look at their conference games so far, 162 points against UCLA. They had 143 in the USC game, and then 145 against Arizona. Arizona State is a little faster than USC and Arizona. So if this one comes 147, I'll look to play it over.
Good stuff, Brent. And we got 667, 668 Texas A&M at Alabama. Ken Pom has it 70-76 with Alabama on top. That would make a total of 146. I'll tell you, Texas A&M, they've lost 3 straight. This isn't the same Texas A&M team of years past, Brent. Would you look to fade them here?
Yeah, I mean, this team, in the last few years, Texas A&M's had really good interior defense. They had Robert Williams, who played a couple years before he was drafted after last year. And, they lost like 3 guys that were 6'11", off last year's team. And now they're having to play a 4-guard lineup, and they don't shoot the ball well. They're only hitting 29% from 3, which is 325th in the country. And when you're playing 4 guards and shooting a lot of threes, you're not going to be very good if you're only hitting 29%. And to top that off, they turn the ball over 20% of the times, and that's 245 in the country. So that is not a good formula, and that's why they don't have any good wins. The best win they have was against Oregon State, and the anytime they've stepped up in competition, they've gotten beat. And I think it'll be tough for them to win on the road here. Alabama, and on their home court, it's been kind of choppy. I mean, they lose to Georgia State on their home court, but also last time out, here's another example: Kentucky with all those freshmen. I mean, Alabama's decent, but they're not great. And Kentucky comes to Tuscaloosa last Saturday and loses 77-75. So the home court definitely plays in here. I think Alabama on their home court is much better team than they are on the road, and they also like to score. I mean, this team, Avery Johnson, when he first got there, they didn't really have a lot of talent. They played slow. They tried to focus on defense. But this year's team, I think, is better offensively than they are defensively, and the statistics certainly bear that out. They're also playing a little bit faster. I mean, the last time out against LSU, 74 possessions, or 78 in the game against Kentucky. And Alabama's been over 70 for the most part in every game this year, other than when they played some teams that really just don't like to push it at all. And I think this one will probably be the same thing. I think you'll see both teams in the 70s, and I would lean to go Alabama and over here in this one.
Good stuff, Brent. And guys, like we said in the beginning, Brent is heating up. 9-2 his last 9 days overall. That's in every sport. We got a special podcast coupon here. Pass 39 at checkout will give you his 7-day all-access pass on the front of sportsmemo.com for just $39. That coupon code is PASS, P-A-S-S, 39 at checkout. We got 745-746, Brent. UConn at Cincinnati up next. Ken Palm shows this Cincinnati winning 74-64. That would put a total of 138. How would you look to bet UConn Cincinnati, Brent?
If it comes 138, I'm looking to play this one under. UConn, they run up and down the court in non-conference play. I mean, they were one of the fastest teams in the country, and then since conference play started, Dan Hurley's dialed it back a little bit. They're not running it near as much after made baskets, and then also just the simple fact that conference play it tends to be slower in most conferences. I mean, that's just a fact and the way it is. And you look in their last game, UConn against SMU, only 61 possessions, by far the lowest that they've had all year. The time before that against Central Florida, 65 possessions. So they've definitely slowed it down a little bit, and they're playing a Cincinnati team that obviously their trademark is defense. They're one of the slowest teams in the country as well at 346 in pace. So, and to top that off, Cincinnati, in their last game was Thursday, which was yesterday against Tulsa. They wound up and it goes over the total 70-65 in overtime, of course, in regulation. It was 116, definitely an under. But the time before that, they give up 73 on the road to East Carolina and lose. And one thing about Cincinnati, when they play bad defensively, it pisses Mick Cronin off. And for practice until the next game, they play defense and they work on defense. And it certainly showed against Tulsa last night. And I think it'll be the same thing now. Connecticut comes into Cincinnati, and you're going to see Cincinnati focused on defense. And obviously they can play it. They're 20th in the country in defensive efficiency. And you then, throw in the fact that UConn slowed down. UConn really doesn't have an inside game. I mean, they are basically, their three guards are their entire offense, a very, not necessarily shooting threes, but driving and in addition to shooting threes, but they just don't get a lot of offense inside. And it's tough. Cincinnati's not going to give them anything inside at all. So I think this one will be definitely a low-scoring game, and I would love to see a 138 up here.
All right, Brent, let's give them one more. We got a 10:30 p.m. Eastern tip-off out west. Arizona at Cal, 769-770, the get-back game. Looks like Ken Palm shows that Arizona 75, Cal 68. That would be a total of 143. How would you look to bet this Pac-12 matchup?
Well, the way that Cal plays, I think the only way you can look at a Cal game right now is to play against Cal and play over the total. I mean, this team just has gone really it wasn't too long ago Cal was pretty decent. In the last few years they have really struggled. A terrible year last year. It looks like another one coming this year. Joaquin Jones, the coach, I didn't understand why they hired him. Never heard of him. Didn't have a resume. And last year, certainly bore that out. And again this year, they're 0-3 in conference play. They're 5-10 overall. All the conference losses. They lose to 9 by USC, 15 against UCLA, and then 14 at home against Arizona State in their last one. I mean, they're gonna play well and win a game or two in Pac-12 play, but the way they just you look at their numbers, they're horrible on defense. They may be the worst Power 5 defense that there is. I'm not sure if anybody ranks lower than 327 defensively, and they give up their effective field goal percentage allowed is 56.5. They're horrible against the threes. They're horrible against twos. I mean, just don't play much defense. And it's not that the pace of Cal is not that fast. They don't push it up and down the court and let teams, they don't try to press, and they're just bad on defense. And, they've got up at least 80 to Arizona State, USC, and UCLA. And here you've got an Arizona team that's not great offensively, but certainly capable of scoring against this Cal team. And if right now, Ken Pom has a total at 143, probably going to be about 145. But, Arizona certainly is willing to play a little faster than – they're not a slow-down team. They will take advantage of opportunities. And I think they'll have plenty here against Cal. And, if they're laying – I don't think you're going to see 7, though. I think it's going to be up a little bit higher than that, 8 or 9. But I couldn't play Cal right now for sure. So
Brent, I was just going to say, why do you think the discrepancy in both the spread and total? You said it will likely be a higher total and a higher spread in this one. Why do you think that is?
Just because nobody wants to bet on Cal. I mean, the odds makers, obviously they're going to look at power ratings and Ken Pom and whatever to get a number, but they adjust it based on, they know that Cal's not going to have much support. So, the true power rating may be 7, but the true number to get people to bet Cal is going to be 7, 8, 8 or 9. And the totals also, nobody's betting Cal under. You look at their scores, and, they're going over the total quite a bit. So that's just, that's, like I said, power ratings are one thing, but the opening numbers are going to factor in how people bet. And then, of course, once the numbers are out, I don't think you're going to see many people stepping up to bet on Cal or Cal under here.
Then, the follow-up question would be do you think there's value in betting on Cal, or do you think
not yet?
Okay.
Like I said, when you're as bad as they are defensively, let me see if I can figure out. I'm almost positive they are the worst Power 5 defense in the country. They're giving up 111 points per 100 possessions. Every team below them is definitely not a Power 5. Matter of fact, is there anybody even close? Washington State would be they're 299, so, and Cal's 327. So the two worst Power 5 or whatever you want to call them defenses both reside in the Pac-12. And
yeah,
Utah, and then you throw, as I look, the next worst is Utah at 288.
So Pac-12 struggling on defense. Maybe Pac-12 overs, huh?
Yeah, well, you look at what the Pac-12 in December, they went like 38 and 35 straight up. The worst month ever for the Pac-12, or really, I think any Power 5 conference. So then you look right there, the three worst teams defensively, all that are in the Power 5 are in Pac-12 play. That explains a lot of that.
Yeah, interesting stuff. So the Pac-12 in December went 38 and 35 in all their games straight up.
I think that's what it was.
Man, interesting stuff there. Brent, anything else you want to throw out before we shut this podcast down?
Just like I said, we're looking, it's been great lately, and I love January college basketball. It's always the best month to bet it. And so far, so good. And then I think, thank goodness we got, a lot of time left to continue adding to the profits.
Yeah, and Brent's been good, 9-2 his last 9 days. Been great with his 5% plays. He's got one up this weekend in the NFL. And guys, we got this special pass here, Pass 39 as the coupon code for his 7-day all-access pass. That will give you NFL, college, basketball, any sport that Brent Crow puts a play out in, you will get it. And for the next 7 days, his 7-day all-access pass, you can get it for just $39 at Sportsmemo.com using the coupon code PASS39. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll be back on Monday with Teddy Covers doing the NFL opening line report. Best of luck with your bets this weekend.
What's the best thing about podcasts? It's that you can still listen to them during cream egg hunting season. Hunt down the rare white cream egg and be in with a chance to win a sweet prize of up to €10,000. Join us, fellow cream egg hunters, and find out more by visiting Cadbury Ireland on Facebook and Twitter. What's the best thing about podcasts? It's that you can still listen to them during cream egg hunting season. Hunt down the rare white cream egg and be in with a chance to win a sweet prize of up to €10,000. Join us, fellow cream egg hunters, and find out more by visiting Cadbury Ireland on Facebook and Twitter.